Dr. Kuhlman, thanks for being with us. Appreciate the time, sir. Explain to us and the audience, who do you think in government should be taking a cognitive test?
I watched President Obama, President Bush, President Clinton firsthand. Being president is a physically and mentally demanding job. When we talk about cognitive ability is it's the ability of the brain to reason, to recall memory, to have brain speed and spatial visualizations. Humans, we peak about age 30. It kind of is flatline till 60, and it goes downhill rapidly after the age of 60. So there's no requirement today to do any cognitive ability, but it just seems common sense that you can either do an age limit, or you can, the job of a physician is to do either a cognitive screen or just move straight to like a 4-hour neurocognitive assessment.
So you talk about sort of the straight downhill line. I want to show our audience the graphic. I found this fascinating, doctor, which talks about, it shows as you go along and get older in life, what you become better at and what you become slower at. So vocabulary, you can see, you get better at in life, right? That makes tons of sense as we grow older, get smarter. But when it comes to spatial visualization, reasoning, and memory, along with speed, you can see there, as you sort of outlined, in your mid-50s, maybe when you get to 60, you start to drop below average. I'm looking at the age of the man in the Oval Office. He's 81. Kamala Harris wants to be president. She's right there along that line at 59. Donald Trump is well past it at 78. J.D. Vance is going to be turning 40 here. So, like, who would you test? Would you test J.D. Vance at 40? Would you test Kamala Harris at basically 60? Would you test Joe Biden at 80 and Donald Trump at 80?
Well, they each have a physician assigned to them at the White House Medical Unit. We don't screen for no reason. But if there's a reason to evaluate a patient, then you can either do a 10-minute cognitive screen or you can move straight to a neurologist. What I would propose is either age 70. At age 70, maybe every year, you do a 4-hour neurocognitive assessment if you're the president or the vice president or you're seeking that office. And that would not only give us a baseline, that then over time we could see if there's changes. Former President Trump is 78, but the next 4 years he would be 82. So you have to have that baseline. So unless you have a reason, I would pick age 70.
Okay, there are Republicans in this town, doctor, who are saying, you know what, if Joe Biden couldn't run for president, then why is he still the commander-in-chief? Do you think that is a reasonable argument that they're making, or do you not see a connection there?
So my mantra has always been no politics, no policy, just trusted medical advice. So my trusted medical advice is his personal physician, who's known him since 2009, is assessing his neurocognitive ability. And in February, we saw that he set him up to see a respected neurologist at Walter Reed, and they evaluated him. If there's been a change since February, he would want him to get evaluated. If he is at the same as February, then that's an appropriate. He got him to the neurologist to get evaluated. So those are separate things than the physical stamina of campaigning for 4 more months.
I wonder, and I hear you speaking about Dr. O'Connor, but I wonder if you think in their response, sort of pushing back on the media repeatedly over the course of months at the White House, before and after the debate, I wonder if you think that the American public was let down in any form as it relates to what we got out of the White House.
Well, the White House physician has 2 jobs. One is to give the best possible medical advice to their patient and to those around him. So that's job 1. And then second is to be candid with the American people about the ability of the president to perform their duties. So that's those are kind of the two things that you always have to keep in mind every single day.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.